Hello, this is Janet Gowan welcoming you to Love Letters Live. And my guest today is going to be such a treat. She is such a treat. Myrna Aronoff, who I am happy to say is one of my longest friendships in my life. And we have been through a lot together. And Myrna, just you say hello first.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
Nice to be here, Janet.
Well, I'm going to tell you why we're here together, everybody. I was visiting Myrna, maybe 6 weeks ago, and we hadn't seen each other for a long time because of the pandemic. And anyway, we finally were able to make a date where we could sit outside. I think we were probably 15 feet, 18 feet apart, and having a wonderful conversation. And we had spent about an hour talking about all kinds of really important things in this world. Yes. And
Yeah.
I had noticed that Myrna's hair was coming in this beautiful white. And I said, after about an hour of other chit chat, I said, "Oh, I can see that you're letting your hair." And you said, do you remember what you said? You said, "Oh, good, we get to talk about our hair."
Oh my gosh.
And
Okay.
indeed we did. And it was so enlightening that I was thinking, during this pandemic, many of us are doing different things with our hair. But let's just talk about hair, because I cut my own hair now. And I had mentioned it to somebody who said, "Oh, you're doing a wonderful job." And I said, "Well, it's just hair." And then I thought, I'm nuts. It's not just hair. It is a global obsession, our hair. It is one of the things.
Yes, it is. I've been going to hairdressers since I was trying to think back in my 20s.
Yeah.
In my 20s, I've been going.
Yes.
But Janet, I know it's a global thing, but there was a word that you used to describe the hair, and I don't use it.
What's
you
that?
Said white. I don't use the word white.
What do you use?
I use the word silver.
Oh, I do too.
Okay.
I do too.
And do you want me just to talk my feelings, or you want to ask me some questions, or how do you run that?
Here's what I'd like to do, because I started thinking about hair. And by the way, yes, definitely silver. But when it was growing out, when it was next to the very dark hair, it looked white by contrast.
By contrast.
Yes, and I can see that it's silver. I say the same thing. My friends have said, "Oh, you're going gray," with that horrified look. And they're confusing going gray with having one foot in the gray. Yes.
Exactly.
And so I've explained to people that I'm not going gray. I am a silver-winged butterfly waiting to burst forth from this coronavirus cocoon, as are you.
Yes.
So let's just talk about hair in general for a bit, because I think it's so fascinating. What's the first important, well, I want to say that it's not just hair. Hair is a signal of who you are, of what you value. Hair, as it turns out, is a battleground for some of the most vicious wars between human beings. Hair is a dream field where you get to state what you'd like to be. You get to say what you'll no longer put up with. You get to say who you are. And so who's the first person you ever think about? Biblical times, there was a famous one here. Samson.
And Delilah.
That's right. Now, everybody knows that story from either Bible study or the movies, but everybody knows that Samson, his strength was in his hair. Well, it wasn't. It was because he had committed himself to Nazirite vows, but that went with never cutting your hair. So even walking down the streets, people knew who you were in biblical times. They knew what kind of agreement you had made with God.
Well, if you're thinking about that, look at the Hasids who have hair.
Yes, that's true. You can tell.
Have committed.
That's right.
To God, and they stand out because of their hairstyles.
That's right. And the side. So
curly.
that, and okay, so like moving through history, do you remember Marie Antoinette
Oh, of course.
with that
Gorgeous.
mountain? What was that about? That was so goofy looking, although we'll get to us because we did something similar. But oh, you lived in London, you lived in England for a long time. You saw those men in the courtrooms,
Yes,
the lawyers, and what did
but they were in wigs. They were mostly, all of them needed to, for whatever reason, I have no idea why,
wouldn't that be interesting?
to know
Yeah,
why they wear that, hairstyle.
right.
The
So
wig,
you have these perfectly normal looking men, and they're judges and they're attorneys, and they're in suits and they're ready to go, and they slap on this bath mat before they go into the courtroom. I mean, it seems to me kind of goofy. In the 20s, like women all were supposed to have long hair, called their crowning glory, by the way. And in the 20s, they had just had enough, apparently, and they cut it in a short little bob.
yeah.
Remember? I mean, we're not that old to remember, but
Yeah, they were the flappers. You're right.
exactly. And they had the little short skirts and dances that were just considered scandalous, but it was the haircut that said, I'm not what you want me to be anymore. I'm what I want me to be. And Veronica Lake.
Ah, that's what I always used to say. I used to hide my face like Veronica when I was smoking in those days. We'd go
Oh,
and we'd sit there, with one eye peeking out.
I'm so glad you remember that. So it was
I
the
do.
blonde hair over one eye, and it was so sexy. And then World War II, and women all over the country were emulating that. They wanted to be like Veronica Lake, as you just indicated you were also. But they were working in the machine shops in World War II. They were on the assembly lines, and their hair was getting caught in the dangerous. They wouldn't cut it. They just refused. The powers that be, from what I understand, went to Veronica Lake and said, cut your hair,
Oh my gosh.
as an example. And she did, and problem was solved. So it goes on and on. Do you remember the Tony commercials, the Tony permanents?
With the curly hairs and all.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
What do you remember?
yes. Actually, one of the Tony girls, I think she's still alive, lives in San Francisco.
Oh,
She was
really?
one. Yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
Can we
One,
find her?
I don't
Oh,
know.
let's try, because she should be with us. But
Yes,
what it was is, it was which twin has the Tony, and they had two women with very tightly curled hairdo,
hair.
and you weren't ever supposed to say if you weren't natural. Only which twin had the Tony. The point
But
is,
then we also had wigs. Do you remember the kind, we used to have, call them falls?
oh, that was yes, that was later. But
Yep.
then before that, they had oh, only your hairdresser knows for sure if you were a bleach blonde. You
Exactly.
couldn't let. Okay, so talk about the falls. Did you have one?
Of course,
Me too.
I had a fall. I had a box. I had it used to be a hat box, but for hair.
Yes.
And I had a dummy face. And then I would put on this fall with the long hair. And I thought, oh my God, I was the cat's meow. I
That's
think
right.
about it now, I was not the cat's meow, but we were following suit. I had every single hairstyle that you can imagine. Whatever was in vogue, I would have the bouffant, I'd have the short, and
Beehive.
beehive,
Yes.
and I lived at the hairdresser.
Yes.
I'm a
Now,
hairdresser's delight.
for women, I must say, with no offense to men, when a woman today is clearly taking care of herself and she's getting her hair colored or she's getting it cut, it's a sign that she's taking good care of herself. Not that she's being sneaky. When a
That's
man colors his hair, it's a whole different. Let's not get into it because I don't want to offend
no,
you.
I wanted to get into it because I was going to say these so many handsome men, we don't say a word. and they are silver, they're gray, they
Right.
look fabulous.
Oh, for sure.
And we accept them. We don't think they're aging. We
Okay, good.
just,
I'm so glad I knew I could count on you. I'm so glad you said that because when we were young, it used to be, I remember when like I was about 5, I would hear women planning, dinner parties, and they would invite a single man to make the table, even number of men and women for people who valued that. My parents didn't, I must say, but um, men would be described if they were a little, he's so handsome. He's just got a little gray around the temple. He's so handsome.
and
And I remember as a child thinking, you never hear them say that about a woman.
never. I never,
Oh, great.
ever
She's so pretty. What?
said nobody. I mean, that was a stigma in
Was it?
my personal life that I never, ever wanted to be called that little old gray haired lady.
Right.
And I associated it as old,
Right.
old, old.
Right.
And because of the pandemic, I mean, we couldn't go. And then this, I would have never, never have had this hair if it wasn't for COVID-19. I should call it my COVID-19
I think
hairstyle.
that's the same with me too. I mean, I noticed that I wasn't going to get to go to the salon. So I went and I bought, if you can believe, 3 boxes of the L'Oreal, hair color. And, but I also noticed that when my hair was coming in, it was coming in, I thought, the most beautiful silver color. I thought it was pretty. And I decided, well, never mind, I'm not going to do it anymore. And so
Well,
yeah.
that's fantastic because I've had friends that they couldn't take it. They'd had their hairstylist bring the formula to their house.
Okay. So yes, that's another important thing. So this obsession with hair, like 4 weeks into the pandemic, when we just weren't supposed to go out of the house. I mean, the animals were taking back the city streets because nobody was on it. The freeways were empty. And it was and still is in many parts of the country a huge danger. And yes, and I had friends who would say, "Oh, I can't talk now. I'm getting my hair colored." What? You can't go to a salon? No, my hairdresser's coming to my house. Myrna, they were willing to risk their lives.
For their hair.
Uh-huh. That's crazy.
I have a blonde friend in LA. So she said they'd come on the side and
Right.
outdoors by the deck in the swimming pool.
Right.
They were, God forbid, that's what she cared about was her hair, her blonde locks,
Right.
and it
Now blonde.
maybe dark-haired people don't feel that way. I don't know.
Say what again?
Maybe people who are brunette
Uh-huh.
don't feel as committed as the people that have become blonde.
Okay.
Okay, so because I never ever thought of having anybody come to the house. I never thought of doing it myself with a formula because people were telling me it was just not in my DNA.
Good.
So here I am.
Gorgeous. You've got such beautiful hair.
Here I am.
Actually. Well, I want to say when you're talking about blondes and brunettes, I have brunette friends who had people come to the house, mask behind them, put in the color, leave, they go upstairs and they show. So blonde and brunette, but there is something about women becoming blonde. And I've always thought that was so interesting. Older women, why do you think older women want to be, people?
Well, they become blonde because the gray is growing in and it's a lot easier for them.
Oh, okay. That part I've heard is true. It doesn't show up so much right away. But also, I think
They
women,
want to feel more glamorous. They think that, blondes have more fun.
and that's a whole big advertising campaign. God forbid you should be one of the squares that doesn't have fun. But there's also women so often want to look younger. And blonde somehow looks younger. And I understand what it is. I mean, men tend to like blonde a lot. You talk to a lot of men and their preference, they really like blondes. I mean, that's kind of a known thing. I think that I may be stepping out of line here, but who cares? I think that has to do so with the male DNA. I mean, we're prisoners of our DNA instructions. And the male DNA, for a while there, I was doing a lot of evolutionary biology reading. So that's where I got this. The males of many species, their DNA instruction is to have their seed dominate the forest. So if a man gets a younger woman, the chances of his being able to have offspring with her are greater. I mean, I think that really does play into it.
Yes.
So as far as the war zone, I do want to say that I read some time ago that in Kenya, hairstyle for women is cut a certain way to indicate that they're single. So they're a walking advertisement for they're available. How handy. How handy.
Very believable. I never heard that.
Yes. And I mean, you know, your hair as your signal of what's going on and who you are. And it's just so interesting. The men over there have a certain haircut when they're going off to war.
You've done a lot of research, my darling.
I did a little reading, but you know, I always have, because the whole thing about hair has been so interesting to me. And it's valuable, I guess, for your community to know that you're about to go off to war, because they might want to treat you a little more kindly. I don't know. But it's a signal. And I think the grand prize for hair statements goes to the Black communities of this country. Because do you remember in the, do you remember early on, you know, when we were growing up, there were so many people who would chemical their hair to try to make it straight so that they wouldn't have that African texture, which is so beautiful. But anyway, and so straighten it, and they, in order to please someone else, you know. And then the 60s came, and suddenly the afro.
Oh my God.
People were letting their hair grow out naturally, and it was gorgeous. And it was, I think, a statement of, I'm not going to do anymore what you want me to do, so I can hope that you'll like me and won't murder me. And yes, and they accept me and hire me and whatever it is I was trying to get you to do. By now, I think it's fine to straighten your hair and bleach your hair and color your hair and whatever you want, if you're doing it for the fun of it. But how sad it is to do it, because if you don't do it, you're going to be shunned.
Well, I think they were trying to emulate.
Yes, so that they would get hired and be liked and not be.
That was in their head. That was in their head, that they, you know, the news journalists, all of them straighten their hair, and they felt they needed to conform.
Right.
Today, everybody, you know, does their own thing. But I loved when they used to do all the braiding. The braiding is phenomenal.
Yes, gorgeous. Well, now people are free to, you know, although I did read that in the 80s, the Hyatt Hotel terminated Black employees who came to work with the cornrows. Now that didn't last long, and FedEx in the 90s apparently fired a driver for coming to work with dreadlocks.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine? So it really is kind of a war zone.
Well, I have a son, and who I looked at a picture and I thought it was me. And I have to remember, he used to wear his hair down to his shoulders. Now you can't even like this.
Right.
But at the time, I said, do what you want with your hair, but don't you dare dye it. Don't color it. Don't put anything in it.
You did say that.
I did say that. Two things: tattoos and colored hair. When I say colored, I'm talking blue,
green,
red.
and blue. Yes, I know. So my older daughter said to me when she was in high school, how would you feel if I dyed my hair green? And I had the same attitude. I said, don't you do? And I don't know why I was dyeing my hair a different color than it was. And I said that, and I said, I forget what I said. And she said, well, it doesn't mean too much. It's just a way of having fun with, what God gave you. And I thought, why not?
Well, that's who you are because you believe in, I believe in a lot of freedom. Then the grandkids come
She didn't do
and
it, by the way, but yeah.
oh, she didn't do it. Okay,
No.
then the grandkids come and they have pink and blue and nobody says anything. That's how we evolved. You
Well,
know,
why not?
it's
Why
true.
not?
It's fair and
Right,
that's what they want to do.
right.
They own their body.
That's
But
right.
going on, to tell you the truth, and I've had people, first of all, my husband, which I cannot believe, he was always the one. And he was not one of the men that always liked long hair. I did have long hair. One time I had blonde hair. One time I
I
had
remember
this.
that. Yeah.
And then he said, cut your hair. And he's always saying, it's not short enough. It's not short enough. He absolutely loves the color of my hair, which is shocking to me. Absolutely shocking. And I feel, we all look at a certain age. I mean, I'm going to let people know I'm 81 and I feel young
Right. And
with,
right.
with the gray hair.
You've got gorgeous
Silver.
hair. And by the way, that whole, hair comes in so many beautiful kinds of varieties. And the whole thing about that African textured hair, people thinking that they had to change it, is gorgeous. It is so beautiful. I
Well,
don't
today,
know.
I don't know. I was in a store over the weekend and there was the girl. I saw one with the two little bobs here,
Yeah.
was so cute. Then another one had all the braiding down,
With
and
jewelry, with beads. Gorgeous.
and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it's today, the
Right,
20,
right. I
and
mean, thank goodness. But I just saw on the news the other day. Oh, where did I have this? I wrote it down because it was so weird. Okay. Big news item on my, computer news feed. J-Lo got bangs.
oh, I
You might
mean,
say, who cares?
everything going on. You
Huh?
got J-Lo has bangs.
J-Lo
Okay.
got bangs. And this is like a headline, but people are obsessed. And apparently Twitter called out Kim Kardashian for her extensions. Well, give a look. I mean, she's gorgeous. People feel still so free to criticize and laud. The whole business is just weird.
Well, I tend myself, unfortunately, I watch the news a lot, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh, she's got extensions. Oh, I think she's got a fall in the back. I'm always thinking because of what they do, they're constantly changing their
Well, but
hairstyles.
that just goes to show you how obsessed we are with hair globally. It grabs us some way. And by the way, not just, I mean, the industries for what you need to shave and wax and dye and pluck. I mean, the whole body is up for grabs. But mostly we obsess on how we appear to other
I love
people.
you. I love you in that color here.
I do too. I think it's really pretty.
And
Although I had two, oh, let's talk about men who are totally bald. That's good because many years ago, a friend of mine, a man friend of mine who was very handsome man, totally bald, kind of dark skin, medium dark skin and bright and good looking. And in conversation, he said, well, baldness is a sign of high testosterone. And he was thrilled with his. And by the way, who this was? Louis who told me this.
oh my God. Okay. All
So,
right.
but then you start seeing men shaving their heads and, every so that they leave the house bald and it's so good looking. And partly is because I think they know that they're giving the message out there that I'm high testosterone. You can count on me. Come on over. And they look great.
Well, when you're
Bald
talking
no longer looks.
hair. When I got married, the one thing I said, I get married, I'm going to make sure, that whoever I marry has hair. I don't know why. I wanted him to have hair.
Right.
So of course, I pick a man that's got a lot of balding down here.
Right.
And I couldn't believe it. I used to say, I don't care if you have hair and and when I walk down the aisle, it flies away, but I want to make sure that you have hair.
Isn't it
So
weird?
I I don't know where it came from, why. So anyhow, to fast forward, I had somebody come into the house and we've been working on his hair and we've been using something to grow his hair.
Now?
Banana, eggs, black beer, and honey. And if you
Sounds
look at
delicious.
I Love Lucy, she did a skit on this whole thing where she cracked the egg on his hair and she mashed the banana. So this has been going on, I guess, a while. But I have to say, and Janet, I will show you, in here, his hair has grown. It's unbelievable.
Well, it
And
sounds like something you should start to do the proportions right and patent it.
and then I do cut his hair, and
Uh-huh.
he's very, be careful when you cut the hair. It's like, I have a mature man, he's 87 years old, and his hair has not turned gray. It
Uh,
is, he still has dark hair, which
yes,
is unbelievable.
I've seen
And
that.
he looked, he looks younger today than when I married him, which is unbelievable.
Well,
You know,
yeah, styles change and people are looking good today.
right. But hair for men, and I love all the journalists. I do like gray-haired men. I
Yes,
do.
I like gray-haired women, silver-haired women. It's just gorgeous looking, I think. Oh,
I
and by the way, when I first did it, so I talked to a couple of friends, in LA, and one of them said, "Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. It's going to make you look old." I said, sweetheart, I've got some really interesting news for you. I am old. And
well, you want to know, I have, which is interesting, a lot of people that I see in San Francisco like my hair, and they think I look young and they think I look good.
you look
I
fabulous.
friends of mine from New Jersey that I knew when I was 15, 16, in my late teens. They don't like it. They said they remember me when I was dark.
Uh-huh.
They said, it looks nice, but I like you better. Now, there are those, which is very interesting because they remember me back then and they still do.
Do you think
But
it makes
then I
them,
have people that want to wait till they see me in person. And then there's some people that I didn't tell them and they say, oh my gosh, I like it.
uh-huh.
Because they know. So it's people have different opinions.
Right,
But
but the point is they have opinions.
you're right. And the most important opinion is our opinion.
There you go. There you go.
It's our opinion. We have to wear it like we
Right.
want,
And we have,
right?
we have to feel good about it. And I'll tell you something, having one more thing off my to-do list is fabulous. Isn't that?
Isn't that,
Yeah.
I got a call. I haven't been to the
You
hairstyle.
know, I cut it myself. I've seen how they do that. They take a handful and so I'm cutting it myself.
So I haven't been to the hairstylist to anybody since February.
Right. Me too.
And I have a massage therapist that comes to the house and she did my hair. She cut it twice.
Oh,
I
okay.
got a phone call last week and I have to call back because I've been going there. They may think I'm sick because I'd make an appointment and I was always there.
Right.
Every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, I was a slave and they called me to find out how I am,
Oh,
going
yeah,
on. I haven't spoken to them yet
right.
because they probably can't believe that I was not the first one on their doorsteps when
Yeah.
they opened up.
Yes. Well, and I feel terrible for the men and women in that industry and that profession who have lost businesses and lost customers. They probably haven't lost so many because people are still obsessed with hair and having it. I'll tell you what I'd like to see. One of the things, and I actually called L'Oreal and left them a message. They haven't called me back. In New York, L'Oreal Paris in New York. And here's a product that I want, and I want somebody to come up with it. One of the things about doing your hair color, when you took the toner and you put it in the whites and you shake it up and Your hair has so much body and so much shine to it when you first do the color. So my hair has body. I'm not concerned about that. But I like the shine. And I don't know why they can't come up with the product that has everything the same, the two bottles somehow, but they leave out the color. They just put in the other chemicals to give us the shine.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because I am going to go back, because I'm going to let my hairstylist cut my hair. I'm not,
Right.
like you, but I can't believe that.
Okay.
Okay.
Just we're going to say goodbye in a minute anyway, but
Okay.
I hate
But
to-
anyhow, I'm going to go there, and I was going to go ask if there's something that they can put in the hair to
shine it up.
shine it up or enrich it.
Right.
So that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So
Let me know if they come up with something.
that's what I was going to ask.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you
Janet,
for doing this with me.
oh my gosh, because it's been, it's like having a new lease on life in a way in this at this time, because what else have we been doing? Anyhow, it's been a pleasure, my dear friend.
Thank you, darling.
I've seen you through many haircuts, many colors.
Yeah,
Now we're almost there on the same.
that's right. That's right.
Nothing of what we're
But
saying.
I will say when you said that one little simple thing and you did it with that energy that you often do when you say something, that one, yes. And you said, oh, good, we get to talk about our hair. And I thought that just opened up a whole world of thought. Okay, so it's going to continue to be, yeah, we've made,
And I just know, believe it or not, if you do research, you'll find that there, Jane Fonda, Kim Kardashian, even some young ones have gone silver and gray.
oh,
So,
yeah.
yes.
And then there's that Carmen del Orfice, you know, that model from the 50s who looks like a goddess. I mean, totally silver white. Yeah, it's beautiful. Okay.
I always said old, but I don't feel old.
But it isn't.
So that's what it was.
Yes, it's beautiful. All right, darling. Thank you for doing this. Yes.
Okay, kiss
Talk to you soon.
soon.
Let's just go for a walk down on Union Street or something. Okay.
Okay. All right. With our hair.
Yes. So I'm gonna, how do I, bye.
On the corner, you say,